Understanding how layers works is fundamental to using Adobe Photoshop. So let's take a look at this simple little image I created. I have a background layer. I filled it with white just so we can see everything. And above that I have a number of layers, a gray background and a blue triangle and a green circle and a red square, each one on its own layer. If I turn off the background layer, we can see that the checkerboard background indicates transparency. Here the red square is a singular image sitting on its own layer, as is the green circle and the blue triangle. There's white background, build it back up. When we look at this, it seems to be all one image, but if we could see it from the side, it would look more like this, so that we could see that each individual element is on its own layer, which means we're working in Photoshop non-destructively. If each single element is on its own layer, the more the better, then you're not working on the whole image in its totality, meaning if you make a mistake, it's just one small area on a layer. You don't have to start from the very beginning. So let's take a look at how we do this. I'm going to create a new layer by going to File, New. I've got it set up here already. Background contents is white, and I'll just say OK. I'm just going to hold down the space bar. Cursor turns into a little hand so I can move it where you can better see it. And we see that over here, here's the background layer highlighted in blue, meaning it's active. It's the only layer. Now to create a new blank layer, I come down to the bottom down here. And if I hover over that, it should say create a new layer. Click layer 1. And now there's layer 1, completely transparent. Now, over here, I have colors in my foreground and background colors. By default, and we get there by clicking the black and white squares, Adobe's foreground color is black, the background is white. But we want something a bit more precious than that. I'll double click the black. Up comes the color picker. As I put my cursor in the square, it becomes a circle. I pick an area where I like the color. Click. The new color it says is this red. Currently it's black. If I click OK, the new foreground color is red. I can now reverse foreground and background by clicking this curved double-headed arrow. Now the white's the foreground color. Double click in here. And let's find another color. Let's say this kind of blue. New, current, accept, done. Now what we want to do is create a shape on this new layer to fill with this color. I'm going to come over here. Second one down is the marquee tool. Let's pick the rectangular marquee tool. Click and drag. And now I'm creating a selection. And I'm just holding it down, moving it to where I want. If I hold down Shift, it'll constrain it to be a square, but I don't want a square. There's the marching ant outline, as it's referred to. It indicates a selection. Now Adobe will focus all its attention inside that selection and nowhere else. To fill it with blue, Edit, Fill. Fill contents, use foreground color. Okay. Now, I want to get rid of the marching ant outline. Select, deselect, and you can see it's also showing me the keyboard shortcut Command D or Control D on a PC. Gone. And if I turn off the background layer, I can see layer 1 has the blue rectangle and nothing else on it. Now, what I can also do is rename that layer by double clicking and go to blue rectangle. Just have a name. As you start using more and more layers, naming those layers is very helpful into knowing which one you're actually working on. I want to create a new layer now. New layer icon. It creates a new layer above whatever layer was active. I'm now going to go to the marquee tool. This time I'll use the elliptical marquee tool. So I can make an ellipse of any shape. Again, Shift would constrain it to a circle. I don't want a circle. So there's the outline. Edit, fill. This time use background color. Okay. Select, deselect. Command or Control D. Done. Double click. Red egg. Done. Highlight this layer. New layer. Above the active layer. I want another color now. Double click. Let's try something in a bilious neon green. New, current, accept, new foreground color. And this time to get something different, the Freeform Lasso tool, and I'll just make a shape. Edit, fill. And this time back to foreground color because I've changed that. Okay. Select, deselect, or Command D. Done. Green thing. Now, what's important in Photoshop is understanding that sometimes the element we want to use or we want on top is actually below another layer. We can reorder those layers. If I want the green to the background, click and drag below the blue rectangle. I can bring the blue rectangle above the red egg. I can. I did. One of the things that's interesting though, if I want to bring the red egg to the background, you can never pull anything behind the background layer. It just won't let you do that. It's in italics. It indicates it's different to Photoshop. That's ground zero. That's the first layer. I can also use the Move tool, and I can take the red egg, and with the Move tool active, I can move it around. Green, move it around. And I can take the blue rectangle and move it where I want to. Now here, I'm clicking each one to move it, but as well, I have Auto Select checked over here. And if I just put my cursor on it, if you watch the layer panel, it goes directly to the blue rectangle, or the green rectangle, the red egg. Adobe Photoshop can sense what's below it. This works well, it's a simple, strong image, but if I had a number of very small elements and a whole lot of layers, it can be rather confusing, so sometimes I'll turn it off. So here I have the image. It's done. Now, if I want to save this, I can do it two ways. First of all, I have all these layers. If I want to send it to somebody, this is not a very user-friendly way of sending it. They need a program like Photoshop on the other end to be able to even open the image to see it. But when we've worked on an image, we can save that by going to File, Save. And that becomes as a PSD, as a Photoshop, its native file. And what I can do is say, let's save this as shapes. And I'll just save it to my desktop, save it as shapes, save. That image is now saved. If I close this and open that up, it'll look exactly like this. What I could do is open it up, and I could move this around, make a few changes, save it again, but everything is always there. Then I save it, I have the PSD file. If I want to send it to somebody, what I have to do is flatten the file. So as I know this has been saved, what I can now do is come over here to the upper right corner, bring this menu down to Flatten Image. And if you watch my Layers panel, all of a sudden, one layer totally comprised of the whole image. Then this could be saved as a JPEG file, which is a compression file, which will be much smaller, and that can be sent off as an email attachment. And that's Layers 101.